Now we're in After Effects. And here we're going to bring in all the renders and put them all together. So to bring in your footage, hit Control I. And here I'm in the folder where I saved all my stuff. So I'm going to bring them in one by one. So I'm going to get the beauty pass, right? So you see a preview up here, what that is. So that's the dragon. Need to bring in the stripe. So remember when we did the stripe and the particles, they were rendered as a image sequence. So I'm going to get one of them, not necessarily the first, but I get one of the images. And I just make sure that in sequence options, sequence is checked. So when I import that, it looks through the numbering of the images and it brings in the entire sequence and treats it as one piece of footage. So that is the stripe. Lastly, I look for the particles and I bring that in. There we go, image sequence. Okay, and they're here. So I could go to composition, new composition, or down here, which is the new composition button. Okay, it does the same thing. It gives me this composition settings. I can name my composition, give it a resolution, frame rate, and all that. Okay, but another option is you just get a piece of footage that you have that has the right settings already and drag and drop that into this new composition button. And it makes a new comp using the settings of that piece of footage. So now you already have um, your resolution set correctly, and it takes the number of frames, okay, of that footage. So I'm going to need a bit more. So I can simply right click in any blank area, go to composition settings, and then change those. So here I see I have only so many frames. I think I'll need maybe 175. I'll always adjust later. So enter. I can extend. Okay. I can bring in the beauty pass. So now I don't need to make a new composition. I just need to drag it onto the timeline of the existing one. Okay. So I don't see my beauty pass. That's because I put it underneath the stripe, which is what I want. And I want to switch the mode, the blending mode of the stripe to screen. Okay, so I can see the line traveling across my dragon. If you don't see the blending modes here, there's a toggle, right? So you can toggle that. Okay, and lastly, we're going to get the particle, and we want the particle to be on top of everything. There we go, right? So I want to check my particle. Sometimes the particles look a bit thin or not as thick or not as much as they were in the straight render. And that has to do with how After Effects deals with alpha channels. Okay, so to check that, here in my bin, I'll go to my particle, right click, interpret footage, go to main, okay, and then you can see here, it can be straight or pre-multiplied. So pre-multiplied looks a bit thicker, so I'm going to go with that. Okay, so what I can do now is for my stripe, I can put an effect. I can put a glow. Okay, so different ways to add a glow. If you have effects and presets, up here, you can just type in glow and get, say, this one under stylized glow. Otherwise, you can right click over here, go to effect, and search for it here as well. Right? If you don't know the name, you can go through all of these, go looking for it. Right? But I know what it is. It's called a glow. And under stylized glow, I'm going to drag and drop that onto the stripe. So I get this. See, it's a bit thicker because it is glowing, and I can adjust the radius of the glow, okay, the intensity, and I can adjust the threshold as well. There you go. I can switch my colors. So if I don't want it glowing white, it's glowing white because by default it just uses the color of the image. It's glowing white. I can switch from original colors to, let's say, A and B colors. So that now goes from white to, right now it's set to black, but I can change this to something else. So let's change that to something matching more this gold. Right? I can do the same for the first color. My intensity up. So it's not pure white, it's a bit goldish. There you go. It fits more with the look. Then you have the particles. If this is regular sand, you could leave it as is. If it's like magic dust, you could add a glow to it as well. Oops, not that one. This one up here. Right? And then we can do a mask. Okay, so a mask is going to be traveling along, essentially just trailing this white line. So I go to my dragon layer, okay, make sure that's what I'm going to be masking. So I'm going to select that layer. And I'm going to go up here to the pen tool. So this is similar to the pen tool in Photoshop. Okay, so I click on that and I'm going to find a spot where I see my line. So I'm going to make a mask. Okay, I don't think I need too many points, just something like that. Okay, and whatever's inside the mask is showing, whatever's outside isn't showing. Okay, so here under my dragon layer, this little arrow, okay, I can open that up. I can see my mask. I can see the mask I made. Okay, and here I can feather my mask. I can add like maybe three pixels. It doesn't really matter much in this case. But I do have also a mask path. Now this is the shape, essentially, of your mask. I can click this stopwatch icon. It gives me a keyframe, right? So now After Effects knows that this parameter is animated. So if I go to a different frame and change this, it'll set a keyframe for me. Okay. So to change this, I go up here, go to my selection tool. So I can select the points themselves and move that. Now you see I get another keyframe and it's an animated mask. So what you do is you just keep moving different frames like so. And then you go back and check in between if the mask works. That looks like it's working. Um, so back here, bit back there. Then I check in between if the timing needs adjusting. That's okay. All right, there you go. Now if I click, it's gonna deselect the mask and I can see the effect. So you have your dragon forming, right? Maybe too many frames, so it ends around frame 115. So maybe I'll just set this to 135. Okay. Now this is a dragon, an object that's forming. If I want to dissolve the the same object, I simply invert my mask. So now it starts off with the object visible, and then it dissolves. Okay, there you go. That's how you do a dissolving effect with nParticles in Maya and After Effects.